Hello, Tai Chi friends. I'm going to go through a couple of our basic stances that we use at the beginning of each of our regular classes. We use these stances, they come from the 60 posture form of the Li family style of Tai Chi, but here I've kind of isolated them. We work with our breath, we work with our intention, our E in each of these stances, and it gives us a nice baseline to work with. So what I'll do is I'll go through each of these, kind of show you the structure, how to set it up, and that way at home you can spend a little more time framing this out. So that way if you come to our class, you've already got that part of the work taken care of, and it'll be a little easier to also follow me as we go through the first sequence. So the first stance is actually just standing, and for this we want to have our feet a little wider than our hips, right around kind of shoulder width here. In this position though, we're not standing still. And as you know, if you've gone through the class, we connect with our feet, we work in a chain from our feet up to our knees, we work with our hips, we work with our spine, trying to lengthen and extend up toward the ceiling. And we also generally at the beginning of each class work to connect and warm up our shoulders, which then leads to how we articulate the movements through our hands. So this is our first posture. We typically take the Bao Sun position, right hand inside of left here. Bao Sun means to protect life, and we use that concept just to orient our practice around benefiting our overall health. That's the easiest way to understand Bao Sun. So in this position, again, when we breathe in, we lift up, we sink down. And if you look at me from the side, it might be a little tough with these pants that I'm wearing, but you can kind of see when I lift up, my body straightens toward the ceiling. My legs do not lock, so don't lock your knees here. And then when I breathe out, you might see me sink maybe about an inch, close to 2 inches. So breathe in and up, breathe out and down. Breathe in and up, breathe out. Use your feet to kind of guide that movement from the beginning, but then, we create a chain from our feet to the crown of our head. So that's the first standing posture. We go into, when we go through our beginning movements, we usually then take the first posture from the Li form, and that starts here with my hands here, kind of toward the bridge of the nose, and I'm looking up toward my fingertips, and I push up. When I breathe out, when I breathe in, I bring my hands back toward my forehead. And think of articulating the same lifting and sinking as we do this. So as I breathe out and push up, I sink my body to the floor in that same way from our standing position. When I breathe in, my hands come toward my head and I lift my body up. The one thing to keep in mind here, and I'll do this sideways again so you can see, when I'm looking up, don't crank your head back too far. We don't want to cut off this joint either. We want this to still have a flow. We're just bringing our gaze up toward our hands gently. So again, don't crank back on your neck. Watch out for that. So we do that posture also at the end of our basic sequence. So we kind of line that up with sinking down here. We just add another set of movements from the end of the form. Okay, so standing posture, simple as that. Let's move into what we do next, which is our Ma Bu, or horse stance. There's a couple ways to sort this structure out for yourself. The easiest one I've found is to use our arms and space out the distance between our feet. This is going to be a little different for everyone based on your overall height and also the comparable length of your legs. So some people have longer legs than they do torsos, etc., etc. Here's how we'll sort that out. Again, this is just one method. There are several, and if this seems to work for you, great. If not, talk with me in class sometime and I can give you some other methods. All right, so start with your feet again, right about here. Bring your arms out to the side, straight from your shoulders, and you'll notice the space between my arm and my body. okay, right here. Cut that space in half, okay? So if this is a 90-degree angle, we go to 45, okay? Now, the remaining space between my arms and my body, I'm gonna cut that in half again. Basically, that's the idea. Now, I'll step out and I'm gonna match the angle of my legs to this angle that I've created with my arms. And this is pretty much the distance that I need between my feet. The structure will tell you the rest. Your feet need to be on the floor with your toes pointed straight forward. Oftentimes though, and this is okay, if your feet point a little bit off center, that's all right. For our purposes, if that feels a little more structurally sound to you or more on balance, you can do that. Just point them maybe 10 degrees off the center line. Again, feet on the floor, we bend our knees. Okay, I'm actually gonna go a little further out, and this is my horse stance. This is the forward view, obviously. From the side, you can see that my back from my hips up is still vertical, okay? And really my knees don't go too far over my toes. A little bit's okay, but the main thing with my knees is not only are they bent, but I extend them out this way, okay? We use this to work, typically the target working with this position focuses on our main governing meridian that goes up and down, corresponds kind of to our central nervous system, our spine. But in this position, the hand postures that we take, usually, we're gonna keep our hands here like we're holding something, then we'll breathe in, lift that up to the top of our chest, flip our hands, breathe out, and sink down. Just like this. We breathe in up, breathe out down. Simple as that. And with your focus, oftentimes we just leave it centered here on this area, your Dan Tian. This is a kind of a cross-section spot inside your body, about 2 inches below your navel. So if you think cross here, and it's inside this lower part of your abdomen, corresponds somewhat to your center of gravity. And that's our target usually when we're in Ma Bu. Otherwise, you can kind of think of lifting up from the ground through your main governing meridian, which is, again, just thinking about your spine. And then when we breathe out, we sink all that energy back down toward the feet. Lifting up and pulling that energy up, sinking it back down toward the floor. Just like that. So that's Ma Bu, or horse stance. Up next, we typically will then turn to the right, okay? And then pull our right foot back. This is called Ma Bu, or cat stance. It's sometimes also referred to as half-step stance. If you think about it, if my regular sort of position is here, this is half of that. That's the idea. But we'll stick with Ma Bu. That'll be our explanation, or our name for it. Here, you can have a right angle with your feet if you want to go a little deeper into this sort of one-legged squatting movement. But if it's more comfortable, you can move that foot up a little bit away from that 90-degree angle, whatever works best for you. You will get a much more intensive workout, if you will, if you have that 90-degree angle, but this also is great. This works just fine as well. In this position, we again keep our body vertical from the hips up, and when we sink down, we just bend our back leg and we lift back up. The front foot, the ball part of your foot or your toes are here connected to the floor. And generally, we only have about maybe 10% of our weight on this forward leg. The rest of it's back here. So you might think about being able to even just lift your foot up off the floor in this position. This is a great way, by the way, to practice your one-leg balance or progress up to one-leg balance, one leg standing. Okay. So in this position, my right foot is in line with my left heel. And typically we work with our pushing hands here. We pull our hands in as we breathe in, and then as we breathe out, we sink down and push forward. Pretty simple. Just keep that back straight. Don't lean forward. Breathing in, breathing out. Just like so. From cat stance, we can move easily just straight into Gong Bu, or your bow stance. And we step out one step, and here we go. In Gong Bu, and I'm going to turn really quickly to face you because this is a key component to this stance. Here, you can see I'm kind of narrow in my cat stance. When I step to Gong Bu, you can see now there's a bit of a line, some space between my feet, and we want that. We want to avoid stacking our feet and especially crossing our feet. If we stack our feet, we can tend to roll off balance really easily. Here, we want a nice division of our weight between our feet here just to set. We'll go over how we distribute our weight here in a second. So I've got to think of a center line bisecting my two halves of my body. On this side of the line, my toes touch the line. On this side of my body, my heel touches the line, or thereabouts. The line can be real thin or real wide, etc. And the great concept here that I like to use is, it's a lot easier to walk on a bridge than it is a tightrope. So think about how you want to set up this stance. Let's turn again here, okay? Now, I've got that good spacing between my feet. My feet are turned the correct way. By the way, with your back foot, again, like with Mao Bu, your cat stance, it can be either 90 degrees or mine tends to go about 45 here, whatever feels comfortable. And sometimes it shifts just by nature of doing the form, and that's okay. The main thing to remember, both feet are flat on the floor. As we do our movement, avoid lifting your heel up off the floor in this position. Your back leg is straight, but not locked. So just keep it straight. There might be just a slight bend when we're in the bow stance. There will be a bend when we move back, so that's okay. But the main thing is just, this is, think of this more as like a bracing leg, and then this more as an anchoring leg for now. All right, in this position, I bend my front knee, and now I have my Gong Bu. Notice that my back is up. I might lean forward slightly in the form at certain points, but I definitely don't want to lean so much that most of my weight is going over my foot. Avoid that. Usually in the class, we work with a kind of position, it's akin to holding ball, grasp the bird's tail. For now, we'll just call it pressing hands. That's the easiest reference to it. We hook, so in reference to our lead leg, I've got my right leg in front here. I'll hook my lead hand, my right hand in front, and bring my left hand behind it. And think of maybe clutching a ball between your palms. As we breathe in, we pull our hands to the chest. As we breathe out, we sink and press forward. And we just work with our movement here. Bringing our weight forward to about 70% forward at the peak. And then as we come back, we load about 70% of our weight back here so that there's only about 30 in our front leg until we shift back forward. In, out, just like this. You can kind of start to see a little bit of a circle being created as I shift my weight back and forth, just like that. So that's Gong Bu. Now we've gone through Mao Bu, your cat stance, and then Gong Bu. And these are your primary movement-oriented stances. We've also covered the standing posture and what to do with that. If you can manage those stances, then you're definitely prepped for Tai Chi class. And please, if you're a regular student, just use this video as a reference tool. And again, anytime you have any questions, just see me after class. Thank you.